What's going on, everybody? My name is Tech, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reseller Greatness Podcast. And it's going to be a great episode, and we have a lot to talk about. So, for those folks that are joining us for the first time, I've been selling on eBay for 15 years. I built the number one largest, most profitable, most sales pre-owned men's clothing business on eBay. At one point, it was 53,000 items. We were selling 250 a day. We were listing 250 a day, and we were number one in every single category on eBay: shorts, shirts, sweaters, jackets, pants, hats, NCAA, NFL, MLB, basketball, you name it. We were number one in every single category in a very, very competitive and a very, very saturated market. So, like I said, I've been doing eBay for 15 years, almost half of my life at this point. And, while we did build a beautiful business, unfortunately, the entire time while I did have the number one eBay store in the entire world in all of my categories, I also had a part-time job. And I think that when we talk about reselling, we talk about the freedom. For all the goods, there's bads, sometimes the freedom, if we lack discipline, that could be difficult for us. But I think that, for me, since I did have to get a part-time job this entire time throughout my eBay career, I think that all other resellers, they should all get a part-time job as well. Because we all know how difficult eBay is. We know how difficult our schedule is. We know the things and the reasons why businesses don't succeed on eBay, why resellers do not succeed. And for some of them, it's overspending. It's not being consistent with their listings. They're buying bad product that don't sell as fast, so they have too much money out and not enough money coming back in. But I think the number one reason why resellers fail is because they do not take the time to seek the knowledge and to continuously improve not only themselves, but their business. I think that a lot of people get stagnant. I think that we find something that works. And unfortunately, most things don't work forever. So, you might find something good. You might find a honey hole. You might find some product that you're doing very well with. But product changes, trends change, eBay changes, the market changes, buyers change. And that is where the part-time job comes in. So I talk to a lot of people on Instagram. They send me DMs and they say, hey, my sales aren't good for whatever reason. I'm going to have to go get a part-time job. And I get it. I understand. And, I didn't come from money. My entire life, my mom has had two jobs. So I get the part-time job. I get working double time. I understand. I get it. And since I get it, I was not afraid to get a part-time job myself. And, for 15 years, every single day, once I was done with my eBay, I clocked in for second shift. I clocked in for my part-time job. And the part-time job is going back in and working on your eBay business. So it's not going out and going and getting a job. You could do that if you want, but the idea of us selling on eBay is for that freedom. And so we could build something for ourselves, so we can craft something, so we can, if we choose, build the biggest building in town, so we can, supplement our income, help our retirement, fund our vacations, put our kids into a better school, maybe go on some trips in the summertime. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why people sell on eBay. But I think if you really, really want to succeed on eBay, not only do you have to work what you've set out to do, but you have to go back into your business, back into your job, and clock in for the second shift. So there's a lot of things that we can do inside of our business so that way we do not get stagnant. We do not rest on our laurels. We do not depend on things that are working for right now and think that those are going to work forever. So once upon a time, Robert Graham was a crazy bolo, and every single Robert Graham, no matter what the pattern was, would sell for 80 to $100 very quickly. If you are still stocking that, if you still think it's a bolo and you are still pricing it at 80 to $100, those times have changed. The market has shifted. The customers have moved on. The platform is different. It's come and gone. And it's like that with a lot of brands. It's like that in a lot of niches. So I think that being self-aware of the product that you're picking up, being self-aware of the business that you are running, I think all ties into our success. And I think the number one reason why people do not succeed in reselling is that they stop or fail to seek the knowledge. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of us, we kind of depend on somebody else to kind of baby bird it for us. You know, you figure it out, you regurgitate it, and then I'll do it as you say. But we have to find out what works for us. And most importantly, we have to find out what works that is not out there available to the masses. Because once something goes out available to the masses, it no longer works. So once a brand starts to be a bolo brand and everyone starts looking for it, it's no longer a bolo. It's classic supply and demand. The reason why it is a bolo is because there's way more demand than the supply. But once the word gets out and the supply and demand start to level out, that's when you start to see an extended sell-through. Once the supply exceeds what the demand is, then that is going to be a longer sell-through, and therefore the item is no longer a bolo and probably no longer, an item that we should be looking for, because a lot of these bolo brands people only want because they are sought after. So once they start not to be sought after, and once the supply is way outpacing the demand, the buyers for that item no longer want them. They have moved on to the next one. So I think if we take it upon ourselves and personally clock in for second shift and continue to educate ourselves, continue to seek the knowledge, continue to get better, not depend on anybody else. This is something that we have to do in our own time, in our own space, and we have to make the commitment and be disciplined enough to do this for ourselves. So every single day for the last 15 years, when I was running my eBay store, when I started, pile in the corner inventory system. Then I put it in a tote. Then I had 2 totes, 3 totes. And before you know it, I had 1 stack of totes. And that was my eBay business. And then it took over my entire room. We've all been there. Then it took over my entire house. We've all been there. When I was on the come up, it consumed my entire house. But at that point in time, it was necessary. And then I was able to afford a storage unit. And then I got 2 storage units. Then I got 3 little storage units. And then I ended up getting a warehouse, which was 1,200 square feet. And then I ended up getting a larger warehouse of 2,500 square feet. And then I went to 6,000 square feet. And now I'm into 10,000 square feet. Every single point along the journey, I took the chance to educate myself and to seek the knowledge, because nobody out there was going to give it to me, and nobody out there is going to give it to you. I often tell my son that nobody is going to knock on the door with a bag of money. Nobody is going to knock on your door and hold your hand and tell you what to do inside of your business to get to the next level. This podcast here is the closest you have to someone knocking on your door, holding you by the hand, and trying to help get to the next level. So what works on eBay today will not work on eBay forever. eBay changes, they change the algorithm, they change what they find valuable from us as sellers. Customers change their habits. The market changes, the economy changes, the search changes, all of that stuff changes. And in my experience, I've seen the largest changes on eBay when the fall seller update comes out. Why they do that right before Q4, I'm not sure. But in my experience, I have seen the biggest changes to search, to the algorithm, to how eBay wants things done, usually corresponding with the fall seller update. So once upon a time, it was acceptable on eBay to list an item with a title structure that is different from what is recommended today. And that is very important. And inside of the group, I have a video where I show people where I run experiments and where I title stuff where before they sold no problem, but I continued to use those titles and the results went all the way to zero. And these items were $2, $3, but because the title structure was incorrect, the title structure was the old way, those items were not visible in search. You couldn't find them. They were too difficult for customers to find, even though they were $2, even though they were $3. And I had examples where I sold the same exact item as the one that was $2. I sold the same exact item multiple times for $20, literally the same ones. And I used as a control for the experiment. As a control for the experiment, I used concert shirts or band tees because you can get the same ones, and I was getting the same ones in pretty good frequency, where I would intentionally do a title structure that is incorrect, and the same day I would do a title structure that was correct. And that one that was incorrect sat there for over 1 year, went through all of my markdowns, was the most aggressive markdown, 80% as an experiment, and it would not sell. Meanwhile, over the course of that year, I've listed that same shirt 5, 10, 15 times, and all of those sold, but the control, never sold because it was incorrect. So how do we notice these things when the changes do come? Now, for me, I think it was easier than most to notice the changes because for 15 years, I've listed every single day. I hit my listing goal every single day. And I always listed the same type of product in the same categories. I never went, you know, we're going to list shirts and now we're going to list iPhones. We're going to list shirts, now we're going to list gold bars. We're going to list shirts and now we're going to list a bunch of Super Mario, Super Smash Brothers. That would mess up the data and give false information. But because I always listed the same amount for many, many months, many, many years at a time, 120 for several years, 250 items a day for several years, 80 items a day for several years, and the product was no different, I was able to recognize and see, and this is before the impressions tab, this is before the traffic tab, this is before the sales tab. I was able to see that items that used to sell all the time were no longer selling. I was able to see my sales starting to slump. And sales slumping, you have to take into consideration why. Is it because seasonality? Sure. Is it because we're doing something different? Sure. Is it because we're not being consistent with our listings? Sure. But for me, when I was being consistent every single day and listing the same exact items every single day, the same kind of items every single day, it would be very uncommon for me to really start to take a dip, start to take a dive, start to get less offers on a daily basis, start to get less sales, less action. When I saw this, I knew something was wrong. So what I would do is I would clock in, I would go to second shift, and second shift is very important. Second shift means second shift. It doesn't mean spend all of your time doing what we're talking about today. Second shift means you finish all of your work and you clock in for your second shift part-time job inside of your own eBay store, inside of your own company. We want to make sure as sole proprietors, as business owners, as people that do this for a job, we want to make sure that we have our picture on the wall for Employee of the Month. And the only way to have Employee of the Month is to go up and beyond. It's not to do the bare minimum. And if you signed up to do eBay to do the bare minimum, you will get the barest of the minimist results. There's no doubt about it. But if you do what you're supposed to do, you stay disciplined, you continue to seek the knowledge and continue to improve, even if you have to spend more time doing overtime inside of your own business. If you want your business to succeed, that's what has to be done. Otherwise, we voluntarily leave eBay because we have voluntarily signed up to do it, and we go out and we get a real job in the real world. But if we want this to work, we actually want this to work, getting a part-time job inside of our own store, figuring out why things are working, why things are not working, figuring out the search, figuring out eBay, studying eBay is going to be the difference between you succeeding and you not succeeding. How often do we, when we're done with our work or have downtime, scroll eBay? Who does that? No one really does that. How often, as an eBay seller, do we go to ebay.com and act like a buyer? Not very often. And the question is why? Why, as eBay sellers, are we stuck on this side of the fence where the eBay buyers is equally as important to learn, to study, to know, and be an expert in? When was the last time we went to ebay.com and we performed a search as a buyer to see what the buyer sees, to see where do my items show up in search? Why am I on page 5? Why are these people on page 1? Why are these items selling and why do I have the same item and mine is not selling? How often do we assess what we are doing from the other side of the fence? How often do we audit our listings from the other side of the fence? I think eBay sellers, we get stuck on the sell side and we forget and disregard everything else on the other side. The marketplace, the website looks totally different on that other side of the grass. And if you had a restaurant, if you owned a drugstore, if you own some kind of brick and mortar store, what do these companies do? They hire secret shoppers to come into the store and test how it's working, making sure it's working the way it's supposed to make, talking to the customers, looking at the product, seeing what's happening. We need to be our own secret shoppers, not only for our store, we need to be our own secret shoppers for eBay. That could be one of our part-time jobs that we do. We need to be secret shoppers for our store. So how do you do a secret shopper exercise for your store? You open up your browser, you select incognito mode. Incognito mode doesn't carry over as much of the cookies, as much of the cache, so the search is more true. If you do the search on your regular browser, there's going to be instances where there is some favoritism based on what you actually do and what you have clicked on previously. So if you're doing your secret shopper exercise inside of your regular browser and you've clicked on your items previous, you're going to see very favorable results when it comes to your items. But that's not reality. That's because those items you've looked at, eBay knows that you're familiar with those, so eBay is going to prompt you to see them again. Now, if you go to incognito mode, less of that computer stuff, those cookies and that cache, it comes over on the incognito mode. And if you do a search, it's more of a genuine search. And if you search for your items, you might be surprised where you land. And if it's not on the top half of the first page, odds are your item is not going to be sold. If you're on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 50, 40, 66, it's not selling. No one is going to buy it. They cannot find it. When is the last time any of us went on ebay.com and scrolled all the way to page 3? When? Never. When was the last time any of us went to the Google machine and scrolled to page 3? Not very often. So if the search is not right there at the top half of the first page, then we're in trouble. And we have to understand that eBay tells us exactly what to do. We just don't read it for what it is. We do not read it for what it is. So there's a lot of times we have an item. We spend a tremendous amount of time researching the item. And I get people on Instagram all the time. And you guys are welcome to send me any messages you want. I respond to every single message. I get the message, hey, I have this item. I can't find an exact match. eBay tells us in plain English, Sell similar. They have a button, sell one like this. eBay does not have the button on ebay.com that says sell the same exact item that you are holding in your hands and only that item. Click here. They don't have that button. The button says sell similar, or they have a button that says sell one like this. The button does not say the item that you're holding in your hand, only click this button if this listing matches the exact item down to every single exact thing and every single exact nuance. The button does not say that. So we are always selling similar. And if you get into the mind state of selling similar, finding comps is very easy to do. You find the closest 3 to 5 that you can find, takes all of 30 seconds, and you look at those items and you assess. Is the item that I am holding in my hands, is it nicer? Is it cooler than the item that I see on eBay that's sold for X price? If it is nicer or cooler or better, then you price higher. If it's not as nice, not as cool, not as good, then we price lower. So is it nicer? The one that we're looking at is cotton, and the closest one we can find, and ours is cashmere. Ours is nicer. We're going to price it higher. Is the closest one that we can find have a little logo right here, and ours has a huge logo on the front? Ours is more cooler. Is it better? Is it different colors? Is it more desirable? All of those things. Is it cooler than? Is the price gauge. Is it less cooler than? Is the price gauge. Does this item that I'm looking at on eBay that's sold for X price, does mine have holes or flaws? Then it's less cooler, so the price is going to be low. Is the one that's sold on eBay have great bright colors and nice big logos, which are on trend right now, and mine has not as good colors and smaller logos? Then it's not as good and we price lower. That's it. End of discussion. But we only know this if we take the time to seek the knowledge and go on eBay and study and learn the market. If we do not take the time to do that, then we get stuck, we get stagnant, and we don't know what to do because we're going to throw it up for too high of a price with not too good of a keywords, and the item's going to sit, and then we can go somewhere and talk to someone and ask why the item is not selling. But that's lack of education, lack of wisdom, lack of knowledge, and lack of seeking it. That's all that it is. So while we are studying the market as our part-time job, we're looking for keywords, we're looking for styles, we're looking for trends, we're looking for success, we are looking for nuance. Every single time we see one of those things, we open it up in a new tab and we figure out what it is. One of the posts today, a guy, he always posts great antiques. And one of the words he used, I didn't know what it was. And I'm not an antique seller. I copied the word, I put it into the Google machine, now I know what it is. We have to take time to seek the knowledge. So because eBay changes, because the algorithm changes, because eBay has different requirements that they feel is going to push their conversion rate up site-wide, they are always going to be making these changes. And we can sit here and we can say, you know what, this stuff used to work. This set it and forget it used to work. But that stuff don't work anymore. It does not work. There are too many assassins on eBay, part and thanks to the group that we run. And I think at a very, very conservative estimate, with 2,000 plus people, I think that we were responsible for $100 million in sales last year. Because some of those people, they are assassins. They are putting up huge numbers. The amount of people that were selling over $100,000 a year was absolutely mind-boggling. 200, 250, 300, 500. There's a few $1 million sellers now. Mind-blowing. There are a lot of assassins. There are a lot of information on the internet. There, you can go on Reddit. You can go on other Facebook groups. You can go on YouTube. You can go anywhere on the World Wide Web. They have made it easier. They have made it more accessible to be successful. It is accessible to be successful. But in order to get there, in order to do that, what do we have to do? We have to take it upon ourselves, take some initiative, and we have to take advantage of the accessibility of the information so we can be successful. Learn eBay. Learn the solds. learn why eBay changes. So inside of our store, we have our conversion rate. Some people are 2%, some people are 1.7. Depending on the category, you may even be higher than 2%. So we have a store-wide conversion rate. And what we are all trying to do is get our conversion rate higher. And the conversion rate is based on people who click on your item, people who leave, people who click on your item, people that buy. We want more people to click. We want less people to leave. We want more people to buy. That's what our conversion rate is store-wide. So eBay also has a conversion rate site-wide. And it might be 2%, it might be 4%, maybe it's 7%, maybe it's 25%. I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. But if eBay can increase their conversion rate by 1% site-wide, we are talking an extra hundreds of millions of dollars in sales for eBay, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars of more fees for eBay so they can be more profitable just by raising their conversion rate by 1% site-wide. So that is why eBay changes. That is why they experiment. That is why they add things. That is why they institute things. So that way they can raise their site-wide conversion rate 0.1%, 0.5%, 1%. They are trying to raise their conversion rate so more buyers click on items, less buyers leave, more buyers buy. That's what they are trying to do, and that's why things change. And when they change, it is in eBay's opinion that this is best for the customer to increase the conversion rate, increase the sale. And they don't send out a memo and say, hey, we've changed this. It is our official recommendation that you do the following and you fall in line. They don't say that. They do not say that. It is up to us to figure it out. It's up to us to figure it out. And before the listing quality report came out, and I remember the day it came out, it was April 15th, 2021. And that was the best and that was the worst day of my eBay career. It was the best day because it showed me that I was #1 in every single category. And it was the worst day of my eBay career because it showed me I was #1 in every single category. So the chase was over. I accomplished what I had set out to do. I never started eBay to make money, to make the most money. I started eBay to have the best eBay store. And if you have the best store, money will come as a byproduct of being the best. For the group that we have, I never set out to do the group for money. But if I have the best group with the best resources, with the best coaches, with the best community, with the best system, the support system, the money will follow. On YouTube, if I put out the best videos, if I make the best podcast, people will watch them. AdSense will follow. That's how it works. If you set out to be the best, money becomes a byproduct. If you set out to make money, money is not always the byproduct. But if you set out to be the best, money will always be the byproduct. Always. So Michael Jordan in the 90s was not the highest paid basketball player, but he set out to be the best. And because he set out to be the best, now he's the highest earning athlete with $3 billion net worth, because he knew if he was the best, the money would follow. If we are the best that we can be, the money will follow. But in order to be the best, you have to do like Michael Jordan, you have to do like Kobe, you have to do like LeBron. You're in the gym. You're shooting more shots. You show up early, you leave late. And until we unlock the phenomenon that is very common online, not only in reselling, in every single space, until we unlock the phenomenon of work less, make more money, unfortunately, we go to the gym in the morning. Unfortunately, we go to the gym after work. And we're shooting shots and we're going over the fundamentals and we are working on our craft. Unfortunately. And that is where the part-time job comes in. So for Kobe Bryant, notorious for arriving early at the gym, notorious for staying late at the gym. He got paid to play games. He didn't get paid for shooting shots at the gym. He got paid to show up to the games. That's what he gets paid for. It's not in his contract. Hey, if you go back to the gym, we get X amount more money. It's not there. And it's not there for us either. But if we go back to the gym and do more reps, if we lift more weights, we will become stronger and our business will become stronger. If we do the bare minimum, everybody else who's lifting weights and in the gym and shooting shots in the gym, they're going to pass us by. And then we're going to be left with a bunch of items that do not sell and we don't know why. And that is the most dangerous place for a reseller, for a business owner, an eBay seller, Poshmark seller, is we got a whole bunch of items, they're not selling, and we do not know why. The reason why we don't know why is because we do not take it upon ourselves to be a student of the craft, to learn the platform. So when the listing quality report came out, April 15th, 2021, I have been talking my talk on YouTube 5 or 6 years now. I did a podcast way in 2017, 2016. I have been talking my talk on YouTube for almost 10 years, 7, 8 years by now. When the listing quality report came out, every single thing that they measured, every single thing that they recommended was the exact same thing that I've been telling people to do for almost 10 years. Every single one of them, before eBay presented us the data. Why? Because I took it upon myself to become a student of eBay and figure out what works, what didn't work. Now, if the listing quality report came out and it was contrary to everything that I've been talking about, I would look like the biggest bozo in the world and I would have sunk my entire battleship. But you can go back to the very first podcast that I ever made, the very first one in 2016, 2017, and it's the exact same one as we're doing right now. It's almost scary how much it is exactly the same. Listing quality report came out. Every single metric, every single thing, I was already stressing the importance of. Never miss, didn't miss. We have to be students of our craft if we want to find any ounce of success. Any ounce. Business is a contact sport. Business is a proactive thing that we have to do. It is not reactive. Business is proactive. If we are proactive, we will have results. If we stay and be reactive, then we will be left in the dirt. So we have to understand that eBay sellers, when we sign up to do this, we look at the actives, we look at the solds, we assess sell-through, and all the sell-through most commonly is measured on 90-day sell-through. Think about that for a minute. A good or great item on eBay is assessed at a 90-day sell-through. What does that mean? What does that actually mean? What does that mean? Great items have a 90-day sell-through. That means we are voluntarily listing items today with the expectation of getting paid in 90 days from now. Isn't that crazy to think about? The items we list today, we expect to get paid for 90 days from now, best case scenario. And if you're listing items with a slower sell-through than 90 days, you are voluntarily doing work today to get paid in 180 days, in 6 months. That's what eBay is. eBay is not get rich quick. eBay is not a sprint. eBay is a marathon. The work we do today, we expect it to pay off in 90 days. That's what we're doing when we're listing these items, is that the expectation is what we do today, we're going to get paid for this stuff months down the line. Best case scenario, it sells in a week. Excellent. 2 weeks, 1 month. Great. But what we are doing by looking at a 90-day sell-through window is we are voluntarily listing items today that are going to sell on average within 90 days. So because many of us, all of us, we don't want to wait 90 days. We want to get paid today. That is also the importance of the part-time job inside of our store. How can we utilize eBay as a tool to show us what items are the most desirable? What items should I be looking for, where I don't have to wait 6 months for them to sell to realize my gain and get my money back plus a couple dollars on top? Are we looking for items? Are we looking for brands? Are we looking for nuance? Are we studying? Because, you can say, hey, you know, Abercrombie and Fitch mall brand doesn't sell. But that's absolutely incorrect. Some items for Abercrombie and Fitch sell great. So how many times have we done a deep dive on eBay in a category, a deep dive on eBay for a style, a deep dive on eBay for a brand? How do we do a deep dive? Okay, search Abercrombie and Fitch, 1 million+ results. Now we have to segment it and we have to break it down. Abercrombie and Fitch shorts. Let's start there. Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts, great seller. Pick them up. Abercrombie and Fitch chino shorts, maybe it doesn't work for you. So now we know at least one item inside of Abercrombie and Fitch that sells great. Cargo shorts, they're on our list. If we see them, we buy them. Camouflage cargo shorts from Abercrombie and Fitch. If we see them, we buy them. Chino shorts, maybe we stay away from those. Then we look at shirts. Don't see much action over here. Polo shirts, maybe not the best bang for the buck. We look at jackets. Some of them are good. Some of them are not good. If you can find the heavyweight ones with, the Sherpa lining, those sell great. Those are good. Maybe we pick those up. We can also move to some hats. Some older Abercrombie and Fitch hats with the moose on them. They could be all beat up. The brim can have the material folding over. And those hats routinely sell for 30, 50, 70, $100. Press pause right now. Go to the eBay machine, type in Abercrombie and Fitch hat, sort high to low, and start looking at the prices for those old, beat up, dingy Abercrombie and Fitch preppy hats that a lot of people are going to pass up on because it's old, beat up, distressed, and looks like junk. But go right now. Go to the eBay machine, Abercrombie and Fitch hat, sort high to low. They are there selling. So that right there, go to the eBay machine, Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts, sort high to low. There's some ridiculous ones that sell for great money. So right there, with less than 5 minutes of you going on eBay and typing in Abercrombie and Fitch and segmenting it by style, we have already learned more items than we knew before we started this call. And shout out to Arwin. Arwin is a very young guy. He lives in Europe. I believe he's in Spain, if not Spain, UK. Very, very young guy. He sells shoes. We were doing our show and tell that we do on Wednesday, which is kind of like a BOLO call, and it was fantastic. We had probably $50,000 worth of BOLOs today because there was a $5,000 sale. There was a $9,000 sale from Chrissy. $50,000. Noelle had a couple $1,000s in sales that she showed us, that she presented. She told us what to look for, and everyone's showing tags. Everyone's doing keywords. Everyone is doing prices. We're assessing sell-through. That is an educational call with a little bit of a fun twist. We do it every single Wednesday show and tell call. Arwen said something very, very impactful to me right after that call. He said in Spain they have a saying that says, knowledge doesn't take up any space. It doesn't take up any space. You can have it right here. It takes up no space. None. And by us just having this one conversation on a surface level deep dive for Abercrombie and Fitch, a brand that most people, when I brought it up, probably raised their eyebrow and were thinking Abercrombie and Fitch. Yes, Abercrombie and Fitch. Cargo shorts sell great. the jackets, the green ones, they look, military-esque with the fur or even with the Sherpa line. Those sell pretty good too. The beat up hats, those sell good. How many of us are walking past those items because we didn't take the time to seek the knowledge? And that is in every single brand. Nike, Adidas, Abercrombie, J. Crew, FootJoy, Peter Millar, every single brand, we need to know the nuance. And you guys can tell that I have spent a tremendous amount of time doing this, because I have a video where I rattle off 500 BOLOs freestyle off of things that I see. And I came right behind that with another video of another 400 to 500 BOLOs, nothing written down, freestyled off of things that I could see. That's because I spent time in the solds studying brands, studying nuance, studying what to look for in an entire myriad of categories. Because that 500 BOLO video, that 400 BOLO video, I'm spouting off video games, toys, you name it. I had a BOLO for everybody. That didn't come birthed out of my mom's womb. That came from clocking in a lot of overtime and a lot of second shifts in a part-time job inside of eBay. That's where that came from. So there's a lot of things that we could do. We learn our brands. We learn our crafts. Once we are proficient in certain brands that are very common that most people overlook, then we can start sniping them. And if you go on eBay and you become the best, most knowledgeable person in Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts, there is no doubt in my mind. And this one goes out to the people who say, there's no good items in my area. I have to go, 300 miles uphill both ways to source. This one's for you. Become an expert in Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts, and there is no doubt in my mind that you can press F4 refresh all day, every day on eBay, 24 hours a day, and you can find people slipping who list Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts for $20 and under, and you know the right keywords, the right styles, the right look, and you can sell those for $80 to $100 all day. You don't even have to leave your house for that. And you can learn one brand, one style, press refresh all day, and that could be your business. Or you can become an expert, and that could be your part-time job inside of your business. Catch people slipping who do not want to take the time to seek the knowledge. Catch lazy people slipping. Take advantage of lazy people who list lazily on eBay, buy their stuff, and show them how it's done. There's entire people that do this for Patagonia. There's entire people that do this for Polo. And we've gone over it on the calls. Someone had showed a Polo piece, and they say this one sold too fast. And I say, did it go to Low Teak ATL? Did it go to Richie Rich? Those are the people who catch people slipping. You can go right now to Instagram, Low Teak ATL. That guy has a bunch of Polo stuff, and every single one of those items he bought from people like you who didn't take the time to educate themselves and listed great stuff for too little, and he came in and bought it. He knows what he's doing. He's going to get the right price. Why don't we do that? Why don't we figure that out, and then we become the ones that are doing the sniping? We become the ones that are the lions chasing the prey. And if you take the time to learn eBay, there's a lot of prey out there. And if we are lions and know what we're doing, we don't worry about certain things that on surface level become saturated, because those listings, those sellers, those people are not even our competition. A couple podcasts ago, I went on to Terapeak and I showed you guys 10% of the sellers in every single brand that I've ever looked up on eBay, 10% of the sellers are getting 50% of all the sales on every brand that I've ever looked up. That means 90% of the other people are the prey. 90% of the other people did not take the time to get a part-time job inside of their eBay store. But 10% of those people did, and they get 50% of the sales. And if you go to the next level, 25% of sellers in every single brand I've ever looked up, 25% of the sellers get 80% of all the sales every single time. You can look at Nike, you can look Tommy Bahama, you name it. 25% of all sellers on eBay are getting 80% of all the sales. Do you think that's an accident? Or do you think that's because of effort? Effort is free, costs no money to give effort. I'm tired right now. I woke up at 3:30 last night to start the Australia call, and the Zoom wasn't working. And I spent an hour last night troubleshooting Zoom so that way I can get it to work. I'm tired, but I showed up with effort. Until I said that, you guys didn't know that I had a horrible night of sleep because I came here with effort. Effort is free. I didn't have to pay anyone at the door to come here with effort. We don't have to pay anyone out the door to put extra effort inside of our eBay business and get a part-time job to help ourselves. Or we get a part-time job at CVS, at Walmart, at Walgreens, cutting grass, whatever you want to do. If you want to get that part-time job, sure, but that part-time job is not going to pay dividends like getting a part-time job inside of your own business. So we can study eBay, we can study brands, we can segment brands and start learning stuff, start learning nuance, become truly proficient in the brand, and then we can start sniping every single day after we're done working. That is what we could do as a part-time job. We can go to the flea market, we can go to garage sales to bring down our lower cost of goods. So when I was thrifting, my average cost of goods at the thrift store was always between $7 and $8. You guys watch my videos from the flea market. I rarely spend over $5 at the flea market. Get a part-time job inside of your eBay store. Go to the flea market, go to garage sales. Yeah, you have to wake up early. Yeah, the sun's not up. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, it sucks. But if you want to lower your cost of goods, if you want to have a better chance at getting home runs, because there is no master list like there is at Goodwill to watch out for these brands when you walk into the flea market, there's no master list at the flea market. It's a free-for-all. People are selling items for $100 for $1 because they either don't care or they don't know. That could be part of your part-time job. Yeah, I've sourced all week. Yeah, I've listed all week. Yeah, I wake up and now go to the flea market because they got stuff for cheap over there. Yeah, I wake up and do a garage sale route because stuff is cheap over there. Because instead of paying $7 or $8 and complaining everywhere that our cost of goods is rising and it's so unfair that the thrift store is doing this, that, and the other, go hit a garage sale route. Go hit a flea market route. I have not heard one person on social media. I haven't heard a single person on social media that says the flea market and garage sale sellers are colluding together and raising prices. Have not heard that yet. But we've heard that the thrift is raising the price. Have not heard one time that garage sales, the price is up. Have not heard one time that the price is up at the flea market. Maybe some vendors have raised their price, fine. But if you go to the flea market, you know the price has been the price. So why don't we get a part-time job? Wake up early, Saturday and Sunday, and get your butt out to the flea market and find great items with large margins. Still continue to be disciplined in your buying. Don't buy stuff just because it's cheap. Buy the same kind of quality of items that you would buy for 3, 4, 5, 10 times the price at the flea market, but give yourself a pay raise because we're going to pay lower. We can do that too. We can check Facebook Marketplace for the crazy steals and deals. Those happen every single day. We can check Craigslist for the crazy steals and deals. Those happen every single day. We can check OfferUp, Let Go for the steals and deals. Those happen every single day. Finish your work, have a route. I'm going to check a couple things that I want to snipe. I'm going to check Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to check Craigslist. I'm going to check OfferUp. I'm going to check Let Go. How long does that take? 10 minutes a day to do your online route and see if there's any steals and deals? Maybe you don't find anything, but at least you're trying. You will run into something. Every single person that has a Craigslist ad, has a Facebook ad, has run into something. The people that do not have an ad and do not make the effort to check these other platforms have run into nothing. That is a fact. So we can have an online route. That could be part of our second shift. When we're done working, we have an online sourcing route. We need to find inventory that is low cost, no cost. The best stuff that we can find for the cheapest price. That is what everyone should try to be doing. And if you're comfortable, you got a honey hole, you have a route, that's fine. But if you can get the same quality of stuff or better for a cheaper price, that is what all of us should be working on. But we can't work on that when we got to get our listings up. So once our listings are up, second shift, we clock into acquisitions inside of our own business. Low cost, no cost. The best inventory that we can get for the cheapest price. The same quality for cheaper. That takes time, that takes effort. Sometimes you got to put boots on the ground. Sometimes you have to shake hands. Sometimes you have to kiss babies. Sometimes you have to get on the telephone. Sometimes you have to go a little bit farther. Sometimes you have to go to an additional store. Sometimes you have to wake up a little bit earlier. You just got to do it because the market changes, the economy changes, the dollar changes, trends change, spending habits change. So we cannot continue to do the same. If we be the same, we will be out of business. Because everyone who, and I got the biggest flack I've ever gotten on a podcast was in 2020 when they started releasing stimulus. The biggest flack I've ever gotten on the podcast was telling people that they're going to have to work harder for the same amount of money. That if you do not increase your business, you will lose money. That was the biggest flack I've ever gotten. The writing was on the wall. They released a bunch of money. Inflation is going to go up. When inflation goes up, rent goes up, insurance goes up, labor goes up, cost of goods goes up, gas goes up, everything goes up. And if you listen to that podcast in the year 2020, and if you were doing $100,000 a year, and you're listening to this podcast in the year 2024, and you're doing $100,000 a year, there is no way in hell you are making more money today doing the same gross $100,000 a year. There is no way. So you are working more for less money, less profit. Because groceries went up, labor went up, your storage unit went up, gas went up, goodwill went up, everything went up, and you stayed the same. In 2020, that was the most flack I ever received. 2024, those people are either out of business, no longer reselling, or crying the blues. So if we want to be successful, we have to get better. We cannot stay the same. Things are always going to increase. Competition is always going to get more stiff. People are going to get smarter. We haven't even talked about AI. It's going to get more difficult. And if we refuse to change, if we refuse to get better, you will be reselling from the sidelines. So what other low-cost, no-cost opportunities are there? Curb alerts. Don't be afraid to dumpster dive. One of the part-time jobs that I did the most when I was on the come up, my wife and I, we used to go out on an almost nightly basis. And whatever neighborhood inside of our city had bulk trash, we would do a scrap route. That's what we would call it, scrap route. And I would find stuff that had value and I would sell it on eBay. Some of the best stuff that I ever found, I found a Red Bull refrigerator that I sold on Craigslist within 5 minutes of listing for $250, cost of goods $0. I found an old Apple II computer that I sold the computer for $250 within 15 minutes of listing it and sold the hard drives for $50 or $60 each. I think it had 2 or 3. Sold the floppy drive for $50. I found that in the garbage. Found a bunch of Playmobil figures, threw them all on the ground, took one photo, put it into auction, sold them for $102.50. Just recently, I put this video out a couple of weeks ago. My wife was doing a walk and there was a big Oakley display case made of aluminum. She called me. I was out of my seat because I know Oakley display cases bring money. We got it. We picked it up, put it into the car. I looked on eBay. That was a $1,700 Oakley machine. I brought it to my brick and mortar store, made one post on OfferUp. That thing was gone within 3 or 4 days, and I sold it for $250. Did I get all the money? No. Did I do all the work to get all the money? Absolutely not. I didn't have keys for it. It needed a new electrical cord spliced on. I had zero cost of goods. I put that thing in the back of the car. I dropped it off at the brick and mortar store, took one picture, listed it for $400 or best offer, sold that thing for $250. Low cost, no cost. There is money everywhere. There is opportunities everywhere if you take the time to get a part-time job inside of your own store. The hustle can never stop. Never. I was driving down the street and I saw a Cabbage Patch doll sitting on top of an open garbage bag full of other toys. The other toys were mostly junk. I took the Cabbage Patch doll home. It had Xavier Roberts on the back. I took 3 or 4 pictures, listed it for auction, sold it for $20. Low cost, no cost. We have to be alert. We have to know. But if I didn't know I could sell 500 Playmobil toys for $100, I lost that opportunity. But how do I know that? Because I did the research, I did the homework. How do I know that, some Cabbage Patch dolls, like Xavier Roberts, like some of those sell? Let's pick it up, let's buy it. Because I've done the homework, I've done the research. I had my part-time job looking at eBay, studying the market, studying solds for a bunch of different categories. Every category that you can name, I've done some sort of research in it. And that's why when we do the BOLO calls on Wednesday, and this is for the people in the group, when we do the BOLO calls for Wednesday, that's why I know all the keywords, and that's why I know nuances for every single category. So here's 3 examples. Marcus today found a great hat. He picked it up because it said logo athletic, but the keyword for the style hat was diamond. You need that keyword to realize the most money, because if you don't know the keyword, you're not going to list it for the right price. And then he pulled out a great guest jacket. And I said, what's the keyword for that one? The keyword for that one is Marty McFly. You go on the eBay machine right now and you search logo athletic diamond hat, high to low, that's a BOLO for you. You go to the eBay machine and you search vintage guest jacket, Marty McFly, you search high to low, that's a BOLO for you. Now, how many times did that hat and that jacket get listed on eBay for $20? Probably more times than we can count. But if we know what we're doing, we'll get the most money. And this is the crazy part always, every single time about resellers. We want the most money for the least amount of work. Hey, I found this item. I know nothing about it, but I want to get the most money for it. What do I do? That's an oxymoron. I want the most money, least amount of work. That don't work on eBay. That don't work reselling. That don't work in business. If you own a gas station, that don't work either. The most money for least amount of work don't work. But in reselling, we have this mentality of most money, all the money, no knowledge. All the money, no extra steps. All the money, don't know nothing about it. And that can even be with your most common items inside of your own niche. Your bread and butter items, you want the most money, but you don't know nothing about the product. How does that work? Mind-boggling to me. If we want the most money, we have to know the most. We have to do the most. Would you, as a buyer, pay up on an item that wasn't presented in a proper manner? And absolutely the answer is no. So why do we expect the most money and not present our items in the proper manner? And by not presenting them in the proper manner, it's keywords. Without having those keywords for separators, you will not realize the most money for the sale. So more part-time jobs. The curb alerts, great thing. My wife and I, we probably bonded the most doing curb alerts. We was out there all nights, finding cool stuff, treasure hunting, having fun, always coming home with a few $100s every single day. I was flat broke. I didn't have no money. That's what we had to do. You can source from your house. You can source from your closet. We all have old technology. You have an old iPhone, throw that thing on eBay, turn it into $500, $300. Take that 300, go to the flea market. You could buy 100 items for $3 each, and you could turn those 100 items into $20 each, and now you got $2,000. Why can't we do that? We can all do that. We can all turn an iPhone today into $2,000. And then you take that $2,000, you go right back to the flea market and you buy a bunch more items for $3 each, $5 each, $1 each, $2 each. And then you turn that $2,000 into $10,000. But that takes work, takes time, takes effort. One of the things that I did early on in my eBay career when I was flat broke and how I got my name, I used to sell a lot of iPhones, a lot of Blackberries, a lot of iPods, a lot of that stuff. Had a son, single dad, son was young, bills are due, had roommates. I had to source from my old closet. So I started taking the clothes that I used to wear in high school that I no longer wore, and I listed those on eBay. And the first one that I listed was a vintage champion Andre Reed blue Buffalo Bills jersey. And I sold it for $78.88 the same day I listed it. And that's why my name was Tech and Sports, because I was selling the iPhones and the iPods, and I was selling the jerseys. And then the jerseys led to me selling more clothes like jackets, shirts, pants, hats. And then it became clothes because clothes don't need instructions. Clothes don't need never ending customer support. Clothes don't have power issues or the hard drive got corrupted or it gets broken in the mail. You don't need instructions for a t-shirt. So that's why I decided to go all into clothing and not into the technology. But I sourced from my house. I sourced from my own closet. We all have stuff in our closet that we don't wear anymore. We all have an extra pair of shoes that we don't wear anymore. We all have an old iPhone. We all have maybe kids that grew up and we still got their Super Nintendo. Get that stuff sold, put some money into your pocket, go back out and buy more stuff and keep the flip going. Keep it going. But we do this after we're already done for the day. We're done for the day, find something else I can sell. Find something else I can learn. Second shift part-time job. So we need to learn eBay. We need to learn keywords. We need to learn why items sell, why items do not sell. We need to learn our traffic. We need to learn our impressions. We need to learn our numbers. We need to study the market for trends. We need to study the market for solds, deep dives on brands, deep dives into segments of brands. Learn what brands can be found in your area. Learn sell-through. Learn what is working for you, not what is working for everybody else. So you can pause it right now and go back 10 seconds. And every single one of those examples that I said, keywords, why your items are selling, what's working for you, learn sell-through, learn your metrics, learn impressions, divide up brands, segment brands, figure out what sells in a brand, figure out what brands sell, traffic, impressions, learn your numbers, learn how to find stuff low cost, no cost. Every single one of those things that I just said, plus more, are all options and opportunities for us to get a part-time job inside of our business. And if we do every single one of those things, I dare you to put in the comments that you're not successful in 6 months. I dare you to put in the comments that you're not successful in 1 year. I dare you to put in the comments that I did all of this stuff that you talked about here and I'm not successful. Put your head down for 6 months and forget everybody else, forget everything else. And I dare you to put in the comments that this didn't work out. Because here's the thing, this podcast will get 10,000 plus views. And only a handful of you guys are going to actually take the advice and do something actionable. But those handful that take the advice and really do something actionable, you will go on and you will find success, more success than you have today. And the other ones that listens for entertainment purposes, don't watch me, watch TV. There's much more interesting things out there. We need to be actionable on the conversations that we're having. Everything that I'm talking about is stuff that I do, that I have done to get me to the highest of the highest levels in the most saturated, the most competitive of categories. No big fish, small pond. The most saturated, the highest of the highest categories. And I've been talking on eBay for talking on YouTube for almost 7 years, on and off, 5 years straight. The previous podcast to this had 2.6 million listens in 2.5 years. I've been doing a version of this podcast every single week for 3 or 4 years now. I've given all the sauce, all of it. And nobody came and caught me. That tells me we're not taking advantage of the information, because I am telling you exactly how I turned my life from nothing, single dad, to now living a very, very fortunate life. And that's doing thanks to eBay. And that is doing thanks to studying, learning, becoming proficient in my craft, seeking the knowledge, and being disciplined. That's it. If you listen to this podcast, you take what we're talking about, the ceiling is unlimited. You could do anything you want for this business and any other business you want to start. But the choice is yours. The choice is all of yours. And a lot of people, hey, I'm so inspired, I'm going to do this. You might do it for a couple days. You might do it for a week or two. But it's middle February, and all that new year, new me, 2024, let's go, rah, 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 all that is gone. Gone already. And it's only been 6 weeks. So if you can make a commitment and you could be disciplined to actually take action on what we're talking about, the ceiling is the limit. And you could take this business, take your life, take anything you want to whatever level you want to. But to expect to do less and make more money, no way, no how. I don't know where that magic pill is. Not for us, not for eBay sellers. I don't know where it is. But to get a part-time job inside of your business, that will help you. So I appreciate everybody for checking out the podcast this week. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate everybody who listens. I appreciate everybody who watches all the videos. I don't need anything from any of you. All I need is your attention and a commitment to be actionable. That's it. So I hope you have found this conversation helpful. This is the blueprint. Seek the knowledge, and great things will come. Appreciate everybody. As always, drop a comment, give me your thoughts. Be great.